Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast. I'm 10 Types, joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Hello.
And today we're talking about Pokemon TCG Live. And if you're,
Unfortunately.
yes, this is not a good talking about Pokemon TCG Live video. But on screen, if you are watching, there's a video. You'll see I'm just logging into Live. There's a notice. Live's probably going to crash as I do this, but there's maintenance scheduled for next week.
Wednesday, I think it is.
Yes, the 29th. And we also had maintenance, what was it, yesterday?
On Friday, yeah, and of course.
Oh, yes, yesterday recording.
We were recording on Saturday, by the way, which doesn't matter as we talk about the past week.
Yeah, and then it says, attention trainers, we are aware of an issue preventing some players from starting a match properly. We're actively investigating this issue and will update you soon. Thank you for the patience. Which I thought they fixed, but I'm gonna.
I think it seems like they kind of fixed it, but of course they're not notifying of it.
Yeah, they're not doing what they said they're gonna do, or maybe they didn't fix it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so you want to say what the big issue was? Uh-oh, my computers.
Yeah.
Fine, it's fine.
One of the things with Live, when you leave it on, besides it draining every whatever device you run it on, that little pop-up screen just gets the computer just is going insane.
Oh, can you be quiet? Let's see if we can. I think that might have been picked up by the. I don't know if you could hear some sounds, but my computer's getting loud.
The fans kicked up high just to keep it from melting.
Yeah. So.
So what happened is, I think you had asked me before the fans started kicking up. What happened that started, right? So we're on Tuesday. I don't know what the number is. Before, in preparation for Twilight Masquerade, there was an update to Live, which was down for the typical 8 hours because that's what they got to do.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if they've been working on it for 8 hours, but
no, and sometimes it's a little less than 8 hours, but I think it's usually at least 6 or more. And I think it starts. It's like set up, I think, for the workday on the time zone where their offices are.
Yeah, which is Pacific time.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about what happened? You want me to?
You can
go over. So what happened is a couple things. It caused major issues. Is the one summary. The big thing, which is what that little notice at the start of Live is, there were issues with games starting up where the coin wouldn't appear, the coin toss wouldn't happen, and you'd have both players, and the game would just freeze up at that point, and then you'd have to concede and take the loss, and that was happening a decent amount of time. I don't know why it was happening. It did appear that people were able to make it happen to some extent, because I don't want to, it gets tricky accusing people. It seemed like some people were exploiting the glitch, just that their rankings were going up really high on a number of people. It seemed pretty unlikely that many people had that high rankings.
Yes, and I will say, if people weren't necessarily actively causing the glitch to happen, it would happen to certain people more than others, and so at that point they were at least choosing to continue playing, even though the glitch would essentially stop them from playing, which is weird. And I also, the glitch, I think, I caused it a few times, but just spread. Have you had that happen?
I don't know. I mean, it probably happened a few times to everybody because it was a random glitch to some extent, so I think it could happen. But I imagine there are things you can do to make it happen more frequently. And we'll talk about more, but Live's been problematic with bugs, and unfortunately in the past people have exploited bugs as well.
Yeah, but I heard that it might have to do with time zone. I'm not sure if it's true, but
some people talk about time zones as a way to fix it. And also setting your region to the U.S. and which isn't good. But if it's the the people running developers are all in the U.S., which they may be, and all in a certain time zone, as they're kind of running it and run their test, if there's an issue related to different time zones or something, I guess they might not be aware of it, which isn't great.
Yeah, and then one reason I heard is because that's just a really bizarre issue, but it could be because. And we'll talk about this. We're going to talk about the history of Live, but the beta, or there was it started in Canada,
right? Yeah,
Canada, the first. U.S. Or wait.
Well, U.S. was not until it went global.
Oh, okay. But so Canada, which is the same time zone as the U.S.
Basically, yeah,
pretty close. So it could be that for some reason it was thinking that was what was the case and trying to kick people out who weren't in Canada.
Oh, for this, which it shouldn't be.
Which doesn't make sense, but That's the best explanation I've heard.
The other thing I've seen people talking about, if you were playing on a phone, if you turned off Wi-Fi, so there were some people saying that sort fixed it for them. So there has been issues also. Live's very sensitive to internet connectivity issues, more so than, which is always, which is can be a problem anyway. But Live seems to, if it's not super good, the connection, it has problems much more so than any other app. So I don't know if that was part of the issues too.
Yeah. And then is there any other glitch you wanna?
Well, there's other stuff for this week. I mean, it, the what, no,
Palafin.
Palafin, right? The Palafin, the single prize and the EX, which you've had that glitch happen to you. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah. So Palafin and Palafin EX. So there's a Palafin essentially goes into the deck with its ability. We've seen. I don't know if we've seen stuff exactly like it, but it goes into the deck and then it like switches with another card, but um, then the game just gets really confused, and then all of a sudden your Palafin is. I think it's exclusively a visual glitch, or it's not exclusively a visual glitch, but it's only on your side. So your opponent sees the correct stuff, but like your Palafins become other cards, or maybe it's the other way around. Your other cards become Palafins, but like yours and Palafins and switch it, and like just various cards become other cards. It's very strange. And then I think I drew a card from my discard pile once. You can like kind of soft lock the game. It's just not good. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. Now that one's less shocking because Palafin was a new mechanic and kind of doing some odd things. So that's not shocking by that. The fact that these games couldn't start, that was a surprise and certainly didn't expect that to happen. Um, so I don't know that they did do some updates. Well, are there other glitches you want to talk about or no?
Were there other glitches?
I don't know. I mean, there's just general glitches. You look at the forums too. A lot of reported glitches are actually the game working properly. People don't know how things are supposed to work too,
Yeah.
and that's that is what it is. So
Yeah. Oh, one thing. So a lot of people are talking about Greninja EX. It's really confusing. I mean, it's not. It's kind of confusing. So live is incorrect based on the official ruling, or the what it's supposed to be. So Greninja EX has an attack. I'm actually gonna I'll pull it
yeah,
up.
but it's I mean it's a good card.
Yeah.
Two attacks. The first one lets you damage and search for a card, very intriguing, and then the second hits the active and one
Well,
bench Pokemon,
it's
right?
two poke. It's the same as Rapstick Urshifu VMAX's attack.
Okay.
I think almost exactly. But the attack, Mirage Barrage, fun name. But for water colorless, so you could use double turbo. You discard two energy from this Pokemon, and it does 120 to your opponent's Pokemon. You do not apply weakness and resistance for bench Pokemon, which is normal. That's not the issue, as far as I'm aware. But it says discard the two energy, and then it says this attack does 120 to two of your opponent's Pokemon. So if you have
Right.
double turbo, so uncommon fossil, do you know what's supposed to happen?
I mean, based upon the way the card is written, I would assume since you discard the energy first that you wouldn't reduce damage.
I do know what live does.
And yes, I had it happen to me, and it did 120 damage to both my
Yes,
Pokemon.
and that is incorrect. It's supposed to do the damage reduction. I don't remember. Radiant Greninja is essentially the same thing. I don't remember if Radiant Greninja works right, but so it's supposed to do 100. It has to do with the way damage is calculated in the Pokemon TCG. You calculate the damage, and
Hmm.
then you do the stuff. Like in this case, the discarding.
Hmm.
It's a little confusing, and I'm not 100% sure how it works in all scenarios, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen an official ruling, but you tell me that you understand based on an older card that was similar, that's what it should do. And obviously, once again, I wouldn't be surprised. That's the type of thing Live gets wrong all the time, and then
Yeah.
ultimately gets reported. And eventually they'll fix it. Things like this get done wrong pretty much every set, and then it takes a week, couple weeks, or a month or so, and then it gets sorted out.
And I will say a lot of people, I asked around a lot and I got a lot of different answers until I finally figured it out. And I think there are still people who don't know, um, who like think it's the other way. And it is a little confusing. There are certain Pokemon TCG things that are just confusing.
Hmm.
Um, I'm gonna joke about confusion. I'm just, okay.
So,
Um, yeah.
So I'm part of what happened, and I don't understand why. For this update, well, the update was Tuesday like usual. And then Wednesday, I might have said Thursday, but because it's always Thursday the new set comes. This time they did it Wednesday.
Yeah, because they're that confident.
Because I don't know if they were that confident, which obviously they should not have been. So it came a day early, and this is obviously we're casual players that enjoy it for fun online, which are most players, or even some online tournaments. But it's also used for people for testing, and NAAC is comes out I think in like 2 weeks, something like that.
I have no
And
idea,
which
but
I
that
believe
sounds
is
right.
with this with Twilight Masquerade. I think that's the first weekend it's legal, and so people want to test with it too. And it's been a mess,
Yeah.
is well we can say.
Obviously, most people aren't testing, right? Like only a few thousand, which is like
Right.
probably substantially less than 1%, but it's still like,
It matters, and they're more the prominent voices, obviously.
yeah, I
They're
think
the
that's the
bigger
bigger
names,
issue.
right, out there. And then, like we said on Friday, there was an update which they had posted. I don't remember on Thursday maybe that they were going to do an update of the on I think Wednesday, the 29th. I think you had
Yeah, this
said.
coming one.
Which
Yeah.
there's still no notice about that. But then all of a sudden on Friday, I went to log in at one point, and all of a sudden it couldn't log in, and the little notification said they made it that to be that day, that on that Friday, it was going to be down. So all of a sudden I guess if they had a fix, doing it quickly was a good idea.
Yeah, although it wasn't that quickly, and they also didn't warn us.
Right.
Um,
And it was down for like 6 or 7 hours,
I think it might have been a little less than that.
maybe. I don't know. I think it was like, yeah.
It ended at the regular time, but they started like halfway through the day.
Yeah, they started late. Yeah, it was something like whatever, something 20
I think it
minutes
was
after the hour.
11:20, but that's universal time, and I don't remember what that is.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so obviously communication hasn't been good. As we get into it, communication's never been good. Continues not to be good. They're not really giving us the information about what they're doing or the progress they think they've made. They should be, right? Because they've done some fixes that appears to be very helpful. So it'd be nice if they were using the forums or something to tell us about it. Like even there's these updates. The forums. There's never been an announcement about it being down for service for these updates, as far as I know. It's just the login, the splash when you log into the game.
Yeah. So I don't think there's too much more to say about this past week. I guess one thing is that what I want to say, a lot of people when there's an issue, they ask like we like want stuff, like compensation. I feel like
Yeah, compensation for codes, cards, that kind of stuff.
yeah, but I feel like that doesn't really fix anything. Well, if you like lose stuff, then you should like get stuff in return. But if you
Right.
like lose playing time, there's no way to make it up. It's bad, but it is what it is. You just kind of there is no fix. I think.
Yeah, and it's not monetized, and I guess we'll have to talk about that at some point too. So at this point, you could be buying codes third party, but you're not getting Pokemon any money directly for this. So it's not there's no so therefore it kind of reduces the reason for them to give back money. I think like compensation, like when things like you redeemed a battle pass deck and you didn't get all the cards in the deck, like they should fix that.
Yeah,
But in this case,
and compensate, and they can
and
compensate.
they can. And they can, now how do they want to do it? Because to verify things is a lot of work. So they might just take it on honor. I don't know. Um, yeah,
And if they're taking it from, even if people just lie about it, it's not like they're losing any money because, as you said, they're not getting any money anyway.
right. So that doesn't matter. If things are down long enough that you can't make progress in the battle pass, that might be an issue because that does hurt you some. But the one of the good things, there's probably two good things in life. One of them is the economy is pretty user friendly, I would say.
Yeah, and the good stuff in the battle pass. So the battle pass has what like so it's 50 tiers,
Yeah.
and the first tier you get lots of stuff. You get free stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, you get like really
two
good.
decks of very. You get well right now. You're getting Ogerpon, you're getting Dragapult EX, two decks that people want. They're very nerfed decks, but you're getting like at least half the cards that you need for the
Yeah.
decks.
Oh, and by the way, make sure you get the what's it called?
The premium battle
Yeah,
pass.
you get that, not the
Oh, don't pay for the premium plus,
yeah.
which gives you unlocks the tier 15. Look, you get the extra cards immediately, but it's easy to finish the battle pass, so I would save the resources there. The other thing, I guess, is there's been a lot of talk by a lot of people. We've both had some videos about it, and you've probably seen from other content creators. It's created enough of this issue. Almost everybody is talking about it right now.
Yeah, and it's disruptive. One thing I heard some people say that it's not affecting content creators, specifically the bigger ones, but I don't
Mhm.
think that's true. People might be thinking this because if you like just happen to tune into a stream, the
Mhm.
content creator is probably playing a game, but that's because if you're not playing a game, you quit. So even if half your games don't work, you're still playing the game like 90% of the time.
Right, right. You might be losing three-quarters of your games, but in terms of time spent, you're playing the game a lot. The other thing I did some is I started playing casual some. So if assuming people were exploiting it, then they weren't gonna. There wasn't a reason to exploit it on the casual ladder.
Yeah, for ranking. It's kind of weird. I think it's obviously just not good that people are if people are exploiting it, and we'll talk about that people have
Yeah.
exploited it, and it's just not fun, especially at the expense of others. But
Right. I don't think it's the majority of people, but if you just get a small percentage of people and then they do it just game, and they exploit like every 15 seconds start a new game, it impacts a lot of other people that just want to play.
yeah, like there are people I've heard. I don't know if this is true. I've seen people near 3,000, but I've heard that people at like 4,000. That
Hmm.
means they've been doing this for like hundreds and hundreds of games, which is like or like 200, 250 games or something, which is
Yeah.
like a lot.
Yeah, and so you made it to Arceus League before this happened. I did not, and honestly, was getting two-thirds of the way there within it, and now I've moved well down towards the bottom because partly because I'm trying some different things, but also when I actually with even with a good deck, I'm losing 25% of my games. At least I had been, so it wasn't great for that. It was but also at times I was getting paired in sometimes with people with like 300 ranks as well. The
Yeah.
rank, or it might be 3,000 because the whole, I think the servers get overloaded with all these people starting and quitting games. But
Yeah.
anyway, should we talk about live, the history of live a little bit?
Yeah, because you
Just
made a video on it, but
I did. So I'm going to kind of share my points briefly, and you can comment on it as well. So just to get a sense, part of it, give perspective. How is this? Is this fit with live? The history, is it expected? And what usually perspective gives you hope and hopefulness. I'm not sure that will do it for us today, but I think it's important. So back in September of 2021, live was announced. So we can all and one of the things they did then is they gave information especially to the big time content creators and which is I think the first time that ever happened and they're probably those videos are still up there on the big names talking about how great live would be because they believed it and it was what it
yeah,
was.
I think there was I don't remember who it was exactly. I remember Lil Dick Fury, and he was not a big fan of Live. He was he
Okay.
like he was excited. I mean, we were all excited because PCGO was not perfect. It had many flaws.
Yeah, people
Um,
were looking for change. People were happy to go away from Direwolf.
yeah. And so, but I remember like the Lil Dick Fury because he played Legacy,
Right.
um, and some I don't know how much, but
Right. He liked Legacy. Obviously, Legacy, back remember that PTC Joe kind of died in PTC Joe. Everybody stopped playing it. So and also like people that have been around longer, some of his like his avatar like costume and stuff that he really liked that were some older things that weren't going to transfer. So he was upset about that. In formats, obviously, we'll have to talk about formats too at some point, I think, right? With this, but Live was announced in September. With by the time
September
of
what?
2021.
Okay.
And I can give you the date too, but I don't think you care about that.
No.
But within 2 months, there was a lot of excitement. Like with the first month, there was huge excitement. By the time November rolled around, Live actually had to issue some news presses saying, "Hey, well, just wait, we're not going to do it this calendar year." They were very successful, the PR department, but the development team wasn't able to get it ready. Certainly, people were ready for the game, and then they had to say, "Oh, sorry, we can't do it yet."
Yeah, which is actually kind of understandable. I mean, they're building a whole game from scratch. It was
It
supposed
is.
to be bigger and better than Pokemon TCG Online,
Right.
um, which I don't know how much, like, if it's bigger. I just don't really know how it's compared to PTGO in terms of how much, like, how many resources have been put into it.
Right. It's
But
we don't know. I mean, I think they did it to save money. That was always it seemed one of the reasons. And by the way it's played out, I think that was the reason. Unfortunately, the hope was that they could do things better and have more quality control. But if that's one of their goals, they haven't succeeded there.
Yeah, and also speaking specifically about the quality control, like things that are Pokemon things, because Direwolf is not a, I mean, it's not Pokemon, right?
Right. It's a third party company. Yep.
And so they don't know exactly all the ins and outs of the Pokemon fans and the game and just various things about Pokemon.
Right.
But obviously,
The programmers at Pokemon don't necessarily know that either.
yeah, it appears that the team working on it doesn't really have. I don't think they, I don't think there are really any Pokemon players on the team.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it appears.
Right. Which is, look, other games I know don't necessarily, the programs aren't necessarily players as well.
Yeah. Well, but they're not like
But
asking players. It doesn't seem like they're like, um,
their whole testing process and all that doesn't obviously seem to be much of anything.
yeah, I imagine the
So
programmers test things,
they
but like
might
that's
be.
it. But like,
Right. They need, right. There should be a group of beta testers. And but I've never heard anything about that, right? They get volunteers to do beta testing to give feedback before we see
yeah,
these updates and stuff to make sure it works. But anyway,
but
so happened, announcement delayed. I just for myself, I started my channel to cover live. I was excited about that. So I made an announcement back in December, which I figured was going to happen soon, December 2021. I ended up waited a while, and then I just started doing PTCGO because it was almost a year before I could actually play live. Then in February of 22, the beta launched in Canada. If you remember, I don't know if you were wanted to, if you were if you had the time and you were watching when the beta launched, all the big time streamers in Canada as well as outside of Canada, because a lot of people use VPNs, were there to launch live to show it. Right, there was
yeah.
excitement, so they were all doing it.
Which I will say, people using VPNs to essentially like cheat their way into the game was not good, and potentially caused issues because I mean there are more people in
Right.
it than were supposed to be in it, and also
Yes.
fire there, which may have caused some issues.
Strains the servers and stuff. And part of the issues with live too, it's not available globally. It's restricted to the PTCGI regions. So that
TPCI.
TP, yeah, like you said. So there are people using VPNs now, and I think some of the issues are VPN related too for some people, but that's not everything. But it took several hours before people could download the game and stuff from when it was supposed to be available. So they weren't ready, and they didn't certainly have this. The program wasn't quite ready, it appeared, and then the servers weren't ready. So just indicative of not good planning there.
Yeah, and that was kind of weird with like Just Canada as well. Obviously there are Pokemon players in Canada,
Hmm.
and in terms of content creators, specifically English content creators,
Right.
English speaking content creators, there are some, but it was kind of interesting and created some kind of. It was just a little weird where some people were playing this, and some people weren't.
Yeah, and the whole migration, do you migrate your account or not, and stuff. We're not going to. I don't think that's not part of the discussion here. So then what happened is from February until November. November it finally became available everywhere globally. I think they expanded up to 14 or 12 countries periodically.
Yeah. Oh, and every time was it this? Every time they expanded, did it like stop working?
I'm not sure. I think it probably was prone to problems, but in
This is
over. Go ahead.
because the servers would get like overloaded, right?
That was part of it. Yeah. I mean, I think they were having this issue. As time went on, less people played live because it just didn't work. The only channel that continued to do it the whole time was uh, uh,
Just a pile.
Trust Your Pilot. So you can check out, and he endured some really ugly times. We're not going to get through all that when only he could, when he was like playing with just a couple other people out there. It wasn't good, but a lot of issues.
Because all like the beta like testers, because essentially like they were beta testing in the community, and then they'd all like leave because it was bad.
Yeah, which was part of why the expanding countries just try to get some new people to jump in. So anyway, so it, it it went on, as I said, in November 15th, 2022, came available globally, and in Pokemon, the way they coordinate things, I got in the game right as soon as it was there. The server worked. I could download and all. I opened the game, and it told me the server was down for maintenance. So
Yeah,
they
as soon as they went global beta.
yeah, when the global beta announced, like it had this day at this time, it goes global, and that was scheduled during server maintenance downtime. That's just, terrible planning and just not communication in-house. And unfortunately, I think that's one of the things too. The in-house communication's not been good. Um, Shortly after that, I have December 8th, so it went global November 15th, December 8th. There was an update. I think that was probably the update for Lugia, I imagine.
The Silver Tempest set.
Silver Tempest, I think. So there's an update that broke live pretty badly. I think that might have been one where there was. I think that I saw Amoonguss was like banned, and I think that other cards were banned as well. If you remember that had some ability restrictions that caused trouble. So they banned the card, which is a fine. I mean, it took them like a week or something to finally ban things, but
And then they didn't fix it for a little while, I don't think.
no, it took a while. And then there was an energy issue, and I think that was also the time that Mew could lock up the game.
Yeah, yes.
If a Mew player like did a certain sequence of cards, the game locked up. And unfortunately,
I think that sequence was playing Elisa Sparkle.
It might have been. I don't remember what it was. I didn't have Mew, and I didn't, but a lot of people, similar now, were taking advantage of that glitch. And there was it was even longer. I think it was a week or more than a week when basically half the games were just people locking up the game intentionally.
Yeah.
So that wasn't good. It took 2 or 3 weeks before that got sorted out. So this appears to be quicker this time. I will say for myself, I started doing some MTG Arena, both casually and some videos, because I just couldn't take live. I couldn't trust it. And also, if you remember those days, live was all Lugia mirrors, because basically you didn't want to migrate your account because you didn't know if live was going to keep working. And so everyone just had the new deck being Lugia, which was the best deck, so it wasn't real fun.
Yeah. And it wasn't also, in my opinion, a very interesting deck. It was a very that's for another discussion. But and I think I didn't do M2G Arena. I tried it a few times, but I did Marvel Snap during this time.
Okay.
I think yeah, and that was like fun. I actually don't know if that was one
how the timing was, but you're right, because live basically was all Lugia, and then PTCGO they never did Scarlet and Violet. They stopped support of that before what they did Crown Zenith, I guess.
Yeah, so that was also all Lugia.
So that froze the meta there too. So you had this very unfortunate situation all around. Anyway, so that happened eventually. We got through that. Then Scarlet and Violet came. That's kind of the next big thing here, and it came on.
Whatever, it isn't.
Well, it came in March, but then what happened is rotation came a day earlier, 16 hours earlier. So once again, lack of communication. Rotation should come the same time the new cards come. So like Quick Ball rotated, but there was no Nest Ball in format for that brief period of time. So basically, you couldn't play any decks.
Yeah, and it was also if they wanted to do that on purpose, like they could have, I guess, but they didn't. It was an accident. It was definitely
right. I think the rotation people were using the wrong time zone, I think is what it was probably.
Yeah.
So that's it just shows their general lack of kind of what's going on. Then in June, PTCGO finally ended, sunsetted. Back then, a lot of people got confused about rotation because if you were just in PTCGO, rotation had happened in live a long time ago.
Yeah, it was like 6 months ago.
So no one was thinking about rotation except for this one set of people that were very confused. But anyway, then sure after that in July of 2023, just to show that it's not just live that Pokemon struggles with, the forums got shut down. If you remember that, the forums were there, they were being used fine. Then Pokemon on their website kind of promoted the forums.
Yeah.
And then a lot of just spam and nastiness took over the forums.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's recovered since.
No,
it's less active, but it's not.
It's permanently harmed it. I mean,
it was never that good, but it was.
No. And the question of the forums and the purpose was always a big question. Is it just users talking to one another, or does Pokemon actually pay attention and get involved? It's still a bit unclear. But forums got shut down completely. Then they start to moderate things. And we know the moderation, if you pay attention to the forums at all, the moderation is not great, and the forums aren't great a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if the mods are actual people.
Or bots.
Yeah, it might be bots. It's a bit hard to tell.
Yeah, and when they respond, yeah, we don't need to discuss the forums here, but that's another mess. They're just kind of...
Which is related to live, but not just live. The forums are a bigger thing.
It is, and I don't know what percentage of the forum use is live versus not, so don't know. But again, Pokemon's control of things are PTCI. I got it right that time, I think.
Close enough.
Their just control of these things isn't great.
Yeah, which is the Pokemon Company International is not... It actually has a smaller like
It's
area of
smaller than the
control.
Pokemon Company.
Yeah, it's I mean the Pokemon Company is traditionally thought of as the Japanese Pokemon Company. I mean, it is Japanese,
Hmm.
but they're like above the Pokemon Company International.
Right.
So
Pokemon Company International is regional outside of Japan and a few other regions. There's some regions that
yeah,
don't have any
yeah.
support for
There's
Pokemon.
4/5 regions. There's North America, which does not include Mexico, which is grouped in with Latin America.
Hmm.
Then there is Europe, and there is
Oceania.
Oceania, and then there's also in
It's
it was the
the
Middle
Middle
East
East.
and
They did
and South
something.
Africa, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'm not sure if that's an official. And traditionally, yeah, part of it has to do with how you qualify for Worlds too. But we're
yeah,
not gonna, because there's some countries that don't have a region that the countries determine their own things too. It's all
yeah,
so it
and
gets a little weird.
but yeah, anyway, so if you're um in like Central Africa, there probably are not many, if any, Pokemon tournaments. But if you are, I'd be interested in hearing what that's like.
Right, and the Pokemon Company International only covers, if I remember it, the card game and the anime. And I think they might run the stores, the physical stores, but they don't have anything to do with the video game or any of that stuff. That's outside their hands. So they're a big company, but they're much smaller in terms of their revenue than the Pokemon Company, the global
Yeah,
one. So any of the forums. So the good thing, this is the one good thing, or second good thing, the one that was the economy. In February of this year, they added the battle log. They had told us the battle log was going to come, and then later on they announced here's the next update we're going to do, which didn't mention the battle log, and then lo and behold, it included the battle log.
yeah, and then which is so like bizarre that they didn't really talk about it. This is literally the best thing I think they've done. As you said, maybe outside of the economy,
Yeah.
but the best like new feature. And
Right.
they didn't celebrate. Like they celebrate like literally everything else.
Yeah.
Like I play an ace spec and all of a sudden there's this like weird flashing and I'm just kind of confused. But
Right. This is the one feature because live is still not as good as PTCGO, even ignoring the bug that still PTCGO is better
yeah,
in most parts. The battle log is actually, I think, better than the PTCGO battle log with what, because it's visual as well, I think. It's easier to find stuff, and I think what it reports is slightly better. So this is one thing they did right.
yeah, I will say there are things that are on the battle log, but like so there are cards like I think like Super Odd. I don't know about Super, but there are a lot of
Hmm.
recovery cards that don't show you the cards that recover. I think Super Odd sometimes shows you two of the three.
Well,
Um,
what Super Rod does, if I remember it correctly, because it can recover up to 3 cards. So usually what it does, you see Super Rod, you see below it, and you have to click to expand it. That's fine.
oh, in the battle log.
In the battle log,
Yeah.
yeah. It shows 2 cards, and then below that, there's another line that shows 1 card.
Yeah, because it puts the one.
But they're not necessarily grouped by like Pokemon or Energy or anything. It's just kind
No,
of.
I think what it does, because if you watch the animation, it
Mhm.
shows you two. Usually, it like reveals two of the three, but it doesn't reveal all three.
Okay.
So I think it puts two just back on top,
Yeah.
and then it shuffles the third into the deck, which shuffles the whole
Oh,
deck.
okay.
Which, like, I guess that could be faster, and there's reasons to do that, but it should show
In the
you all
battle log,
three,
it should be
right?
all 3.
Yeah, and it should show you all three. So
Yeah, there's some weird sequencing, weird coding stuff, which you might discuss at some point, which I am concerned about how they coded this thing and why it has some issues. I'm not sure they can really fix it
yeah,
easily.
yeah. Like I feel like the difference between shuffling one card in and then shuffling three cards in, like that can't be that different. That can't be like the make or break thing. I don't
Right.
know why. Like so,
No, and well, I'll just go like an expanded with Eternus VMAX. You hate that deck, not as much as
I
Matt
don't hate
Palmer,
it that
but
much. I'm not a big fan of it.
so with a Chaotic Swell and Path to the Peak, big impactful cards. So you have Chaotic Swell, it bumps a stadium. When a stadium gets another stadium gets played, it bumps Chaotic Swell, but that other stadium goes away. So it was a way to keep your big bench with Eternus VMAX. Chaotic Swell, your opponent plays, you have a full bench of 8 Pokemon, your opponent plays Path to the Peak, it bumps Chaotic Swell. The Path to Peak goes into play temporarily, you have to discard down to 5, which I think it still does this. Then the Path to the Peak discards itself from play, and then your bench expands, except you've lost those Pokemon.
Yeah, which could be good or bad, but it's just not
Right, it's just,
supposed to
but the
happen.
sequencing just isn't right. It's just indicative of just how they didn't, things aren't working right. So anyway, Battle Log, that's a good thing. Then a week later, or 6 days later, I think it was the 21st of February, then the 27th of February was Pokemon Presents, and then Pocket was announced which isn't live, but certainly is going to have implications to live, which I'm not sure what they'll be.
Yeah, and Pokemon TCG Pocket is it's created by the Pokemon Company Internet, no,
No, by the
the
Pokemon
Pokemon
Company,
Company, which
the
means that it
the
can
big
be
the
in,
big the big guys.
yeah, which means that it can be played in Japan,
Right.
which
Which
is
which means they're
good.
not going to allow the Pokemon Company, if they were running live, it would be better than this. They would not accept this junk that we have.
Yes, but the Pokemon Company certainly has gotten criticism over game quality, but it's been better than live by like a long shot. Like people criticized Scarlet and Violet
Right.
for like lag and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's been better than live. And
Yeah.
because you played because we haven't played Pokemon games really, but we both played Scarlet and it was
Right.
all right.
It was okay. Yeah. I mean, part of it is, the Nintendo consoles don't run as well. They're not as high end hardware. The processor stuff aren't as good as the other companies out there.
Yeah, like laptops and PCs.
Yeah, or the other gaming systems, but you can only play, of course, Pokemon on Nintendo
Yeah,
products.
but
So that's
so
not
live
the
should be
point.
running better than
I
Scarlet and Violet because it's doing less stuff. But it's
Right.
not. But whatever.
Well, and when you even if you have like a new phone, I think it's not quite as bad as it used to be. But obviously, like the phone heating up issues were just through the roof. So they've um, Pocket will be better than Live. I'm pretty sure. One of the things when Live was announced, besides thinking Pokemon Company's going to run it and they can then address problems faster because it's their company, which they're not doing, obviously. One of the things is PTCGO was old code. Every time a new set comes out, you have to add a whole bunch of new stuff, including new mechanics on a regular basis. So you kind of get this code that already is complicated, just gets spaghetti code as they dump more and more stuff on top of it. And obviously it gets more complicated, more issues, and the game runs slower. Like I on my computer, a good computer, I could run PTCG, I could run live as well, but I could run a graphically intense game and it wouldn't really heat up my computer. I really wouldn't care. I'd play a game of PTC Joe in 5 minutes, the fan's running at full blast, which wasn't a good sign for that either.
PGGL or
Yeah, the old one,
yeah,
PTC
yeah,
Joe, actually was super inefficient as well because these things are very static in a card game. Shouldn't be straining the computer resources too much.
yeah. But and also there's like lag, which sometimes is an issue, which like shouldn't really be an issue. Anyway, so there are issues. But with Pocket, Pocket is well, it's not out yet. It's probably
It's supposed to be this calendar year, I think, right?
no, it's this that was the
Or
fiscal.
was that Pocket or was that something? I get
I think it was
confused now.
Pocket. I think it was.
So this fiscal year, which goes into 2025.
Yeah, but I don't remember. It'll be coming probably before live gets good, so which is probably never. But we'll talk about that. But it'll be interesting. It's more collector focused than live, which isn't collector focused at all.
Right.
It's a little unclear what it's going to be. It's not going to have the regular rules. It's going to change things. Going to speed things up. It's going to be a much because live. We didn't. Oh, you didn't say this, but live was the big thing. The big selling point was mobile.
Yes.
And live is playable on mobile, right? But it's not super great.
Right.
And fundamentally, the Pokemon TCG, one, it's slow, even compared to like Magic. It's
Hmm.
slow, but it doesn't work well on
The phone.
mobile because it's slow and because of
Yeah.
just
I mean, phone games want to be fast. That's why you went to the Marvel Snap before. It's quick. It's in a few minutes. A Pokemon game takes a lot of time, which you generally don't want to do on your phone. But also, you got a lot of cards, right? It's not fun on the phone to me to build a deck. Also, the saving things, it doesn't ask you to save. So if you actually misclick, all of a sudden you've lost a card from your deck. You got to try to figure out what it was. But to build a deck isn't great. And even playing the game, to fit on a phone screen, two active Pokemon, prizes, your deck, your discard pile, and a bench of 5 Pokemon each. That's a lot of things on a small
I
screen.
think it does it okay, but it also does have like it uses up. We mentioned like using battery. It's probably worse on the phone,
Hmm.
and I've definitely I don't think I've gotten burned literally by my phone, but I've certainly felt quite a lot of heat from my phone. Like I put it in my
Yeah.
pocket after I play a game alive, and it's very warm. So like I'm very uncomfortably warm, but
Right. But Pokemon itself isn't a good mobile game just because it takes, in the case the games take a long time, and you're making, searching through your deck and your phone and stuff is never going to be anywhere as good as a bigger device
yeah.
of its nature, which
One
is
thing
why
that
Pocket is going to be simplified for mobile.
Yeah, one thing that is good about Pokemon on mobile though is that you don't need to press any buttons or any like keys. You don't
Hmm.
need like your keyboard.
Yeah.
So that's fine. But yeah, Pockets is it's simplified and it should be it's kind of optimized. I think it's only mobile for now.
Yeah.
Which it'll be whatever. I'd rather obviously it be on a computer. So for me, so I can record. But
Right. I mean, because the other games are also, well, like Go is mobile only, right? Only phone, and like they do what Cafe Master, the company that's DNA, right?
they
That's going to
do
do
they do
something
Pokemon
else.
Masters EX.
And is
I
that
know
mobile only or?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Um,
So it probably just stay mobile only. If it were to come to PC, then I don't know if it could actually, if enough people just want to play that, if Live is kind of doomed, if that were to happen. Because Live is not going to get pocketed in, I'm pretty sure. It's a completely different set of cards, different set of rules, and it actually technically is a different company. So I don't think it's going to come to Live.
yeah. Or the other way. I don't think the full game's coming to Pocket either.
Probably not.
The cards are completely different, I guess. We've seen stuff, and so far the cards are completely different.
Right.
But those could just be like examples, because I doubt. I mean, they're not presumably the final arts. I mean, they've reused old arts, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I would assume at some point they might reuse some, but I would imagine that if it becomes big, and it's going to be monetized, I just have to assume.
Yeah, well, yeah, they have all but confirmed that
I
it's
would think they're going to want to have some special arts just on Pocket to make even, to try to force people that don't want to go to Pocket, IRL focused people, collectors, to get Pocket to invest.
yeah. But this isn't really about Pocket because we're
No,
talking about Live.
right.
And there have been other things. So you had a theory about a potential,
How Live could collapse. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it was kind of the perfect storm of three
yeah. And we've
things.
already crossed off one of the three things, but it's a little early.
Live crashed not working. So there
Yeah,
are three things. Well, Live couldn't, especially if these happen together. If Live stops working for like an extended amount of time, which we've had it again just now, we've had it. It's happened in the past as well. It'll probably happen again. Unfortunately, if Twin Leaf comes out, which we'll talk about, right? Because that is what I think the IRL players are excited about, and the big time content creator IRL players are definitely excited for that. And they if Pocket were to come out, I mean Twin Leaf, they might just prefer to do that and might move away from Live.
Mhm.
Especially if it's not working well. And then the third thing was if within that same time period, Pocket were to launch, because I think a lot of casual players are going to move, they're at least going to try out Pocket. And then, and if it works better, they may just stay in Pocket. And then the user base for Live could disappear. If Live's not working well, Twin Leaf is available. Pocket is the new shiny toy. If Live gets down to just a few players, it's really hard to get back again.
yeah, because it's losing the casual players and the serious players, which is everyone.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, oh, there's this new thing you try out. There's also something pushing you out as a game.
Right.
And so I think let's talk about Twin Leaf some. So Twin Leaf or twinleaf.gg is it's kind of weird. I don't exactly know.
You know more than I do, though.
Yeah, I've covered it. I've really covered more information than there is. So pretty much what the initial thing was that it was so Dan TDM, very big YouTuber, almost as big as us.
Right. He
Yeah,
started with Pokemon and then decided I want to become a big YouTuber, so he
yeah,
moved away from
yeah. I
Pokemon.
don't really know. I guess he did Pokemon YouTube.
Minecraft is what he
Yeah,
became
yeah. No,
big with, right?
he's Nan the Diamond Mine guy, very what, like 27 million. I don't know. I want to say 27 million. It's somewhere around there. And so he did the Pokemon TCG, and he like made a video on it. He was like, oh, I want to kind of like he was like, oh, live. This is like bad. So he's like, I want to make something essentially better than alive.
Hmm.
And this you don't have this on your timeline, do you?
No, I don't know.
It was a while. I think it's around a year ago that he said this, and then he said. And then he was like, I'm gonna do this, essentially make a thing better than Live, and call it Twin Leaf, twinleaf.gg. You can go go to the website. Are you pulling up?
I'm going, but keep talking. I
So,
don't know what I'll find.
so twinleaf.gg, and it has the official things. There's an official website, which, as far as I'm aware, has nothing. And then there is
Right.
also
This a
an
little bit
official
of Twitter
Twitter
stuff.
account, which essentially also is nothing. They have their signature catchphrase coming soon, and it'll say Twin Leaf is maybe the only thing to have a worse development than Alive. um, as nothing's happened.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm gonna pull it up.
So yeah, I'm not sure because it's hard to find
Well,
information
no,
on it.
twinleaf.gg. Anyway,
Yeah, so you could.
so you go, and I don't think you can see this, but it's just stuff. They actually took down
Just
stuff.
their logo, right? There's like no text now at all on their
No,
webpage.
so
And there's their Twitter or X page, but I'm not sure what I can see there. So
yeah, but anyway, so pretty much there's no information outside of the initial release, and there's all this hype at the initial release. It's like, wow, there's something better than live.
right.
Kind of like Pocket, which also has not had a great development cycle, but there's at least been more updates.
I
Um,
see a tweet back July of 2023, July 2nd.
okay, so it's
That
not
might be the first
quite
one.
a year. I think so. I mean, there's only one tweet, so. And you want to read out what it said? It says,
Yeah, this is Twin Leaf, Pokemon TCG simulator made by fans for fans. We plan to give you a fast, efficient way to play the game with friends, test for events, and play old formats too. Follow us to keep up to date with the development and when we launch.
yeah, follow us on Uncommon Fossil and 10 types. Subscribe. Yay. Anyway, so there have been no updates, but there have been a few devs. I don't remember who they are. Of course, it's Dan TDM. He has not said anything. Well, no, he was on a podcast once. He like said some
Yeah,
stuff about it, but it wasn't that
and he's
much.
not a developer. He's
No,
kind
he's not a
of
programmer. He's like the lead.
right. He's a person to get people together around and
Yeah,
stuff to help give it direction.
yeah. If they need funding, he has lots of money. And if they need really anything, he can like find
Yeah,
the
if they
ways
need
to.
assistance with something, he can probably help make sure they get a person that can
Yeah,
do that.
and he knows the rules. There are other people, all the other people on the team, as far as I am aware, also know the rules. Probably better than him, but he does know the rules.
Hmm.
And yeah, he has money. That's the big thing.
Right. The devs are all TCG players, longtime TCG players, and programmers, right? I think.
I don't know if they're all programmers, but there's a few. It's a very small team, and there's some drama, and the devs have said stuff individually, so it doesn't quite align up. It's kind of weird, but we haven't really, as in terms of actual official stuff from either the website itself or the Twitter
Right.
page, we've heard nothing. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and the idea is based on their initial the tweet I read. It's designed. It's a TCG simulator, which already. I mean, first off, tabletop simulators have been around for a while. You can go to like OmniPoke's webpage and watch them on their simulators do things, and you
yeah,
can see how clunky they are too, and just not want to play it probably. But that's been around. There's a new simulator we'll probably mention it as
yeah.
well.
Pokemon. It's called Pokemon TCG Simulator. It's I've played it some. It's pretty cool.
It's
It
been
is.
out for a bunch of months. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was essentially Christmas. It came out. It was announced and then came out right away,
Yeah.
which was really cool. I played it some. Unfortunately, it looks like I don't know if it's not really being abandoned, but it's not really being it's done. It's kind of or
It's not
it's not getting new features,
progressing. Yeah.
which is what it is. I'd obviously rather that it has new features, but
Hmm.
if you want a way to play the Pokemon TCG, it's essentially the in-person experience, but a little bit better,
Right.
but worse than live in terms of actual playing the game.
Yeah, it's better. I think that because I've done it some too. It's better than just using a generic tabletop simulator. There's a couple out there because this is only Pokemon, and things are a little bit automated. With a simulator, you're doing things manually for the most part.
Yeah, in
Um,
terms of the Pokemon TCG Simulator or PTCG Sim, which might be the official name, it's something that I could see being a way that if live died out, that
mhm.
part of the community could still stay and do, but it would not have. It could kind of like. So I'm a Nintendo fan. You're also a Nintendo fan. Some, not as
Hmm.
much as me, but we
Yep.
played Mario Kart Wii. Mario Kart Wii is old and not really supported, but there's an online scene supported by something. I don't play the game, but there is like a small scene, much smaller than previously, but
Hmm.
people still play it because of some like essentially other way, and that's why I could see the Pokemon TCG Simulator being, but it's not like really, it's not good for new players or casual players.
Right. And even
Yeah,
tournaments, if you were trying, it's good for like testing. It's good for that because there's no timer and you can take stuff back and you can, it's bad for tournaments though because you can do things that would quote be cheating IRL and kind of it's harder. You can do a
yeah. I
misclick
mean,
and all
there's
of a
a
sudden
full
look at your opponent's.
battle log.
There is. You could do things by accident that you didn't mean to do also,
Yeah, but
and
I
that
think
can
if
kind of wreck
people,
the game state.
got good at it.
You could do it.
Yeah. Well, the big thing is like locking your opponent's deck, because you can always undo,
Right.
which is really nice.
But if you look at like, especially if it's a closed deck list, and you look at their deck, you can't unforget.
Yes.
You don't get your mind erased in the
Yeah.
process. So,
Yeah, maybe that feature will be added later.
part of with this any simulator, right, and certainly the initial launch of Toon League, what they said, you have to do friends match. So there could be a Discord, a server where you find people to log in with. But look, part of what's nice with Live or PCGO, at the end, like the end of the day, you just sit down, you click a button, it finds you someone to play with.
And you sit there, nothing happens, you quit.
And well, and it works hopefully, and then all the actions are automated, so I don't have to try to remember all the commands. How do I move stuff around? At this point, you got to figure out, how do I drag around my damage counters? But that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and so Twin Leaf, so Pokemon TCG Simulator does not have game actions. You need to do the stuff yourself like you do in person.
Right.
I said it should be faster than in person, but slower than live. And then Twin Leaf, I don't know which one. I don't know if it supposedly will have in-game actions, but it also won't.
I think the one thing they said in this, the two phases, one of a simulator, second of automated. Certainly, if it's automated, the issues of Pokemon objecting get greater the more things you built into
Yes,
it.
I will say, like someone just seems to be like kind of paranoid about legal issues. Of course, there is reason to be scared of legal issues, I guess, but like,
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're not like doing anything.
Pokemon.
No, with the Twin Leaf,
Twin-
like they haven't. It's not like they've done any. Like it's not like they've crossed the line, because like I don't know. So it just kind of I don't want to be a
Yeah.
hater on Twin Leaf, but we also haven't seen it.
Right. I mean, Twin Leaves has to be a little more scared because first they've got a lot of press behind them. The PTCG Sim people, they're small, they're not very well known, so Pokemon's going to ignore them more.
I guess so.
One thing. And if there's a way, if everyone wants to take legal action, Dan TDM, I imagine, has some money. He doesn't want,
Yeah.
he doesn't want to risk that.
Yeah, no, I know.
So
I think they're looking.
it's a little more complicated in that regard.
Yes. But anyway, so
But none of those things are happening now. And I want to see live work because I don't think I want to play a simulator. I don't really think I want to play Pocket all the time. And I don't really want to play a simulator all the time. I like having the game automated. I like being able to find matches automatically and all that. It just makes it enjoyable and relaxing when I want to.
yeah.
And I think you want live to work as well. That's your
Yeah, I
preference.
definitely do. I think I think Pocket will be really good.
Mhm.
Or like pretty good. I don't think it'll be perfect. I think people will definitely have complained about it some, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
But and I think it will have issues. I think it's probably it might be pay to win or whatever. But
Yeah, we'll have to, and it's just gonna be different. It's playing on a phone is a little different than playing on a computer, and the game's gonna be different. So good or bad, right? Time will tell on that. I'm pretty confident the Pocket will come out. But you mentioned pay to win. So I don't know if you're talking to someone else too, but monetization do they need to monetize live to get it to be good? Because all the other TCGs out there, which basically all work better than live, right? The ones we know, the bigger ones all do. They all monetize. I'm pretty sure, right? Live, Pokemon's the one, and they didn't monetize with PTCGO, and they're still not. Are they going to have to monetize to make the game good?
I don't know. It seems weird. I think it can be better than it is right now for not being monetized.
Yeah.
Like I think they could get. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I don't really have a lot of knowledge about what's going on or experience with stuff like this, but it seems like it could be better. Um,
Yeah, look, they should be able to do it without all these issues, right? And they could add a few more features. It's not going to have a lot more features than PTCGO had, right? It could be like a updated, improved PTCGO, I think, without they're having to have an extra money source.
yeah, because it should be. I think they're paying less money. They could pay less money, because they're like paying an outside company versus paying like doing it in-house.
Right.
They could and get the same quality.
Yeah.
But they haven't, right? So
Right. And then I'm looking at the live screen here. Live is visually better than PTCGO.
yeah, I mean it's just higher quality.
Right.
The PGO looked pretty terrible.
Yeah. And one thing Live has done, they've gotten the visuals better. Now, I joke about it, and there's a reason to joke about it or cry about it. They really put a lot of time into the visuals. Every update, without fail has visual issues. They may or not fix the glitches in the game not working, but they constantly upgrade the visuals, which,
Well, I'd say more like side grade because it's like
well, yeah,
it's not usually that bad. Sometimes they're a little glitchy, but
the
like
visuals.
yeah.
Well, sometimes visuals make it worse, right? They are overpowering and whatnot.
Yeah, I think usually when it's overpowering, it's overpowering because it's a glitch, which
Hmm.
glitches will happen. It's not like um
Yeah,
yeah
there's too many glitches in live though, right?
yeah
Like on a, multiple days a week, I think, like there's visual effects in live where the visual effect just like temporarily like obliterates the screen, right? Or it's such
yeah
a big, wipe, you can't see cards and stuff, and when things are happening, which isn't good. But anyway, that's not the end of the
yeah,
world.
and there, but I think that to me the big issue is that there are these weird issues that just like shouldn't be issues. Like there's things that like Palafiniac just doesn't work right at all. Like it's not
And
like
it's
it,
messed up in a weird way.
yeah, and it's not like if they test the card, which is obviously a card, probably the number one card to test from the set because it's or the number one most likely card to not work.
Right.
And it just doesn't work at all. Like I mean,
Right.
it kind of sort of works. Like you can it technically like he gets the Pokemon to play, but essentially the whole game breaks down instantly after
Right.
that. So if they had tested it like at all, if they played
Right.
even one game
And
with
it's a
it,
major card. And in fact, they're giving us that a deck for free, I think, in the next couple of weeks.
yeah. So we'll see if it's fixed by then.
So,
I don't know if it's fixed now. I don't, but so like it's they didn't like test it at all. It seems like
yeah.
um, yeah,
I mean, things like, I don't know, I haven't had a card selection glitch in a while, but they were happening a lot and then they've been like slowing down. But they were going on card selection glitches for like a year or more, right? Where
yeah,
like you'd play like a quick, and it certainly was happening with quick ball, and that's been out of format for a while. I'm pretty sure. Well, I know it's been out of format for a while. I think it was happening with that stuff where you go to select a card and you couldn't do it, or like with your comfy, you can't. I know like comfy and I can't grab my one of energy. I have to lost zone it. Oh, now I can't use that attack for this
yeah.
game.
Or it's like it was bad because we company like between the two cards, presumably one's much better than the other in that scenario, and you just it yeah you can't choose it. And often there's also cards like literally like was it Ultra Wellness Ball,
Hmm.
and you can't grab the first one was what it was, which is
There was
oftentimes the most important one. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, lots. I mean, we all lost games, right? I had flashbacks of like I couldn't select Squawk ability with a deck where I had, you got to set up and get going with some of those decks, and it's like, oh, I can't get Squawk ability on my Roaring Moon deck. I think I just lost this game.
yeah, because it's and obviously that's like it's not like hey, let's should like always try to just lose the game, but
No,
like
it doesn't. But the glitches have been there, and honestly, they don't really talk about like those glitches either. Live just kind of is silent, on the forums or they don't really talk about that stuff. They act like it's not there.
yeah. And one thing you did mention, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but formats. That's one thing I've
Oh yeah,
really missed.
right. PTGO we had 4 formats, not counting the tournaments,
Yeah.
right?
And not counting unlimited either, right?
Yeah, unlimited,
For
right?
ladder formats.
Right. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
there was. I
There's
mean, Legacy by the time we started playing wasn't in tournaments anymore, so it made it kind of a dead format.
yeah, and notably you couldn't get tradable legacy cards. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with legacy. We talked about abusing glitches. People
Hmm.
were or abusing. They were exploiting game features. I guess it wasn't glitches.
Hmm.
But they were just doing some not so good stuff. It wasn't, luckily, it wasn't stuff that would harm other players much.
Right.
Um,
But
but
Legacy was you would there weren't enough people also, which is one of the issues with at some point you have too many formats you can't get enough players for. Legacy was kind of not a real format at the end there, but expanded, standard, and themed, right? So we had three, and
and we have, I told you we have three formats in live. We got
standard,
standard, casual,
ranked, standard,
yeah,
casuals, and expanded beta, right?
casual.
Casual, right? I mean, so essentially there's only one format, I would say.
Yeah,
At some point, they'll be willing to take expanded out of beta. I know, so they need a couple, right? They need at least 3 formats, I would say. And I
yeah,
like having themed with I like a pre-constructed format. I don't know if that's doable. Theme decks have gone away. I think
yeah.
the little EX decks or whatever aren't. I don't think that's the solution.
No, I don't think. I think it would be like fine because we haven't played with them. I think there was an era of theme decks which was really good, which happened to be the last era, which made it seem better than they were.
Yeah.
But for a while, they were not really that interesting. They were just like super luck based. I mean, they're kind of luck based, but I'd say they're about as luck based as standard.
Maybe they were less
Maybe not.
consistent, but they were all single price. You had time. One of the things though with Theme Deck and PTCGO is the economy was much tougher, especially for new players. We're not going to get into all that, I don't think. But themed was important for new players to in the economy to complete your challenges, right? Just to build standard decks was expensive, certainly compared to now. So we don't need. So with themed, it wouldn't. It's not necessary for the economy now in live.
Yeah. But I think in some sense the casual ladder is more like themed. I mean, you have the starter decks,
Right.
and people play those in the casual ladder because they're pretty solid.
They're not bad. You'll also get like probably half the people are playing top tier decks too.
I don't know. I'm wondering about how matchmaking works in casual.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And there's expand. You can play expand. We don't. I think we both kind of like the expanded format. I think obviously a lot of people want full expanded, which would be good. I think having both would be nice. Although
Yeah,
I don't know if that's going to be too many places for people to spread out and not find
yeah.
matches.
I'm not super worried about it. I mean, there's a lot of people playing the game. I think fundamentally, if like live works and there's not lag between people far away, then there's plenty of people to go around.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm not super worried about that.
Yeah.
But well, I'm worried that it wouldn't work. But I don't think I'm not worried that we're gonna have too many formats. I don't foresee
No,
that being
I
an
don't think
issue every
so.
time soon.
I mean, look, I think they need expanded. I'd like to have both full expanded and the truncated expanded, and they need to be ranked, right? Because that just makes more people play it, and therefore will just make it better.
I guess. I mean, most people play casual. They need like a rank-based matchmaking because PTGO
Yeah,
had it had rank-based matchmaking, right? I'm pretty
yeah,
sure. So I don't know if the casual ladder has that. I hope it does. It's obviously nice because
you want things. I mean, how do you pair in, right? Part of casual is you get newer players that play there, which is it's good to have a place for newer players. You also get players that may be stronger players that are testing out weird decks, right? And how
yeah, I
they
guess.
and what makes good pairings is awkward
I
too,
think it's
right?
mostly not new players with
So it should be
weird decks.
banked
I
on
think
your.
it's, or I think it's mostly new players. I don't think it's mostly like like long time like veteran players who are like playing weirder decks.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's mostly new players, or like new as in most players are like new players, but not like people who are tournament level players.
Okay.
Which is, I think ranked is a lot of people who are tournament level, which doesn't mean you're like winning tournament level players, but people.
Can go to a tournament and would be expected to win games. Some games,
Well, I don't know.
right?
They don't need to win. They could lose all but like at a similar like level. Like, 'cause
They don't
most
have.
tournament players are who go to a tournament, like a good chunk are solid. Like
Yeah.
they're relatively confident with like they fully understand the rules of the game.
Right.
Um,
And they can make reasonable decision making,
yeah.
right? Even
Um,
top level players make misplays, and and other players are going to make more misplays over the course of the
yeah.
game.
Like I definitely make a lot of misplays. But I consider myself like a pretty solid player, and
Yeah.
yeah.
The
Oh,
other thing for formats is a single price format would be well received, right? I know probably GLC is the one that gets the most talk about, and maybe that's the most logical one. Certainly, it'd be nice if you could play GLC in automatic time matches where obviously because you could play GLC in standard or in the expanded format, but you're just going to get non-GLC decks, and
yeah. Well,
it's not going
you
to be
could do
good on you.
standard parroting against your friends,
Right.
but yeah, I like GLC a lot, but my biggest issue is that you can't play it online, and to me that's just I mean that's a deal for I just can't really play it, which is an issue.
Yeah.
So
So I think I would like to see a single prize format though. I think that would be nice.
I think so. I think
Which is what
I
themed
guess
was before. So it wasn't
yes,
just that, but it was a single prize format.
yeah. So and then the EX battle decks then wouldn't be. I don't think the EX battle decks or the slash V battle decks, which are like newer theme decks, would be
Yeah.
like that bad.
No.
Um,
And it's just you get one multi-prize Pokemon in the deck, which
yeah,
in some sense it just adds inconsistency to the deck.
yeah, it's kind of weird, but and I haven't really played with them too much. But anyway, I think that's is that all for today's podcast.
Yeah. So, let us know what you think of live And just, are you optimistic or pessimistic about the future of live? Right?
Yeah.
That's you're not looking very optimistic to me as I'm in front of my head towards you. So, is that kind of how we want to conclude?
Yeah, I think so. I think, live, hopefully it gets better. It's getting updated every week, so surely it's got to get better.
It's not down every week. It's down
So,
like every other week for 8 hours.
I guess it's been down like 2 or 3 times this week, though.
Twice this week,
Twice
and
this
then
week
yeah,
and
within
next week, so.
within 8 days, it'll be down 3 times probably.
Yeah, but yay, I guess. Pocket, Twin Leaf, PTZ Simulator, yay. Yeah, subscribe to our channels if you enjoyed. Check us out on podcasting platforms. But we hope you enjoyed, and we're excited to see you in the next episode.
And we promise we won't keep talking about live all the time. It's depressing for us too.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
Take care.